I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight in the Budget Committee meeting. We're going to take up fire, rescue, and fire police tonight. I see we got a full board of selectmen tonight for a change. And I would like to say that somebody asked me about if this was an open meeting where the public would come in and see, sit and hear what's going on. And I believe it is. If they wanted to speak, they would have to go through the chair. But I guess that's just one of the things that some people are asking. So we'll start right off with Mr. School with fire.
Thank you, Sheridan. Thank you for the opportunity to present the fiscal year budget for 2025-2026 for Buxton Fire Rescue. All of you are familiar faces. As probably I think I've provided for the last few years in front of you, the first section of that, I just want to go over the department, any changes that we've had, and then budget priorities, and then we could dive right into the overall budget. I would say, as we teach our new guys and gals, as we lead first, the fire rescue department as well as the town or anything, we have to lead with mission. Our mission is to promote and protect the health and safety of our community and the first responders in it. A couple of those pictures just characterize some of the things that we have going on, whether it's training or whether it's incident response, training the next generation with our kids camp, which we'll get into in a little bit, and even, I haven't been able to really say this over the last few years, but having 4 really active junior firefighters on the fire department is a really good thing to see. So you'll never hear me not promote our mission. That's on the second page that you have in front of you. The organizational chart is the next page. I can say there's not a lot of change from the organizational chart that you saw last year. With the exception of some names, that's about it. I would say, just to be clear, we have what I call the special programs area, which is EMS. We have a part-time EMS division chief who oversees EMS. We have a staff captain who oversees community risk reduction, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. We have a fire warden, which is appointed from the state, who handles issuing burning permits to responding or coordinating with forest fire events, and then our fire police captain. And then we have operations underneath that, and we have the paid on-call side or the volunteer side, and then we have the career side or the full-time side. Both of those I report up to the assistant chief, and then finally to me. We do have a medical director, as required by Maine EMS, to have a medical director and a chaplain and our administrative assistant.
Any questions on what he's...
Not yet.
Oh.
Okay. Groveville Fire Station still exists, same spot, same building. One of the changes that we made last April was we moved both ambulances to Groveville Station. We have an engine, the Quint or the ladder, and a tanker pumper at Groveville with 2 ambulances. There's 4 bays there. As you might imagine, it's a tight fit with the 2 ambulances up there. We did that so that we could put all the paid staff in one building so that the shift officer could make good decisions versus having the crew split in 2 different houses and responding from the center to all calls. The staffing that we're requesting this year hasn't changed from where it was last year. Our staffing is 4 budgeted around the clock. At Bar Mill Station, we house where the chief's office is. Our student live-ins live there. Paid on-call group also out of both stations, Groveville and Bar Mills. It has engine 422, which is the WUI truck, the wildland interface truck, which we won the grant back in 2021 for. It just went into service about a year ago after a 3 or 4 year delivery window, whatever that was. We have 2 tankers there, a pickup truck, service truck, Tahoe and Impala, and a wildland trailer. The next slide that I point you to is the thing that I really like to say. This slide, I said, can you identify the employee groups? In our department, we have paid on call, we have per diems, and we have full-time people. When any one of those groups of people shows up to your house, my guess is you do not care what employee group they belong in. You just care that they are trained to a level to do the job that they're expected to do, whether it's an EMS call or whether it's a fire call or whether it's any other service call. Our department relies heavily on the EMS side of the house on our full-time staff. Currently, there's 8 full-time staff on the floor. 4 of those are officers, 4 of those are privates. Those folks work 42-hour work weeks. And I looked at the numbers today. 3 of the 7 current positions that are filled are past live-in students. So we started investing when they went to college, moved into our station, and they've stayed on as live-in students. One of the things that we used to have the ability to do is hire qualified, let's say certified firefighter EMTs to come work for us. The job market's really difficult right now, like it is anywhere. Right now, we'll accept an EMT basic with no fire training and train them up so that we can fill our full-time staff roles. Recruitment efforts are difficult at best. We're pretty lucky to have who we have and what we have right now in our full-time staff. The next group is our per diems. Our per diems are typically hired or always hired job ready. They're generally trained firefighter EMTs, advanced EMTs, paramedics with firefighting certifications, lots of other skills that they've brought from their current workplace or concurrent employer to Buxton. There are 2 per diems who work every day or are budgeted to work every day with 2 full-time employees. Our paid on-call group, which is roughly about 25 to 26 folks in the department, they're generally those who live in Buxton, who respond from home. I used to say wear a pager, but now we get our calls on our cell phones, and we have all sorts of different ways of reaching people. We have a good group of volunteer folks, and generally they're always training, or it seems like the training continuum takes years. Unfortunately, in this group, we see a lot of turnover because folks don't know what they're getting themselves into when they sign up to join the fire department. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of training, there's a lot of time that's spent on all those things. One of the things that I'm proud about that our department has been doing is talking and being involved in the community risk reduction effort in the state. Community risk reduction is a lot of things. It really puts a lot of risk reduction efforts under one roof. Generally, we'd probably in the past call that fire prevention or fire inspections or doing those sorts of things. One of our staff members is very active with groups like working with a PD or Aging in Buxton or the rec department with Moving with a Heart programs or Buxton Community Alliance meeting with the police department to meet people where they are, to talk about things like CPR, first aid, AED, slip, trips, and falls, child safety, passenger seat inspections, and then a lot of the typical things that we do in the fire department, which is plans review, occupancy inspections, fire prevention, and public information. One of the reasons why I'll pause there, because the next slide is our data about where we've been over the last decade and where we are based on last year's info, is a lot of the times Marissa, who fills this role, is dealing with individuals who we would have a high frequency of visiting each week to sometimes try to reduce the amount of calls that we're getting to those homes, to offer opportunities for them to reduce their risk, whether it's smoke detectors, carbon monoxide, battery replacement, any of those sorts of things. Anything that stops us from putting the big red truck on the road, screaming down the road with lights and siren to go to a call that isn't what I might call a true emergency. Our data, as we look at it, if you look at the pie chart, I'm thinking it's pretty small in your copy. 72% of our overall volume was medical calls in 2024. The balance would fill in everywhere from structure fires, wildland fires, weather-related events, good intent calls, service calls, and that really tracks with where we generally are over the years. If we look at the NIFRS 10-year growth, which NIFRS is the incident reporting that we do for fire calls, the overall growth over the 10-year period is 40% of call volume. From 2015 to 2024, we've seen a 40% growth. If we look at EMS only, there was a growth of 35% of EMS only calls and a growth of 55% of fire only calls, which generally, we always talk about the EMS volume, but this clearly shows us that we have a higher trend of fire-related calls than we do EMS-related calls. In just the 1 year data, from 2023 to 2024, we had an overall 9% increase. EMS only, it was 10%, and fire only, it was 4%. I include the next slide only to show you where we've gone in the last, say, 10 years or so with grant funding. The latest was the wildland truck, and we've done things like, we've done some smaller grants that aren't on here, like the wildland grants that we obtain through the state, generally every year for small equipment grants. But these are the large federal grants that we obtain to try to offset costs. And I would say when we obtained the grant for the last fire truck, the fire truck that we had in its place, actually, let's rewind. That replaced an old Dodge green pickup truck. It replaced a 1968 military 4x4, military 6x6 rather, converted into a fire truck, and a 2001 pumper. All of those things were essentially taken off of any replacement schedule and replaced by one fire truck. Now the big budget requests here, and then I can answer any of those questions before we dive into the budget. But the big budget priorities for us this year, you're going to see a large increase in the staffing costs. We can talk about that when we get there, about how we get to that number. And then increasing costs in things like fuel, maintenance, equipment repair, building repair, maintenance agreements, and training. In both fire and rescue budgets, there is a large increase in both of the training lines. In equipment, when we talk about some of the fire equipment and EMS equipment, we're talking about replacement of a vent fan, nozzles, recurring PPE costs, and technology costs. The first capital is on the fire side, and that's replacement of the service truck, which the current service truck would bump down. This vehicle would be a 3/4 ton truck. There's a Dodge shown here. I don't need to get into which better, a Dodge or a Ford or a Chevy. We don't need to have that arm wrestling contest here tonight. The request would essentially bump the half-ton truck down, and it would allow us to haul a very heavy trailer a lot more safe when we're going to fire calls with the wildland trailer and the four-wheeler. It would also allow us to carry more equipment in the back of the truck, like the couple 100-pound rolls of large diameter hose after a fire. Would make our operations a lot safer. The rescue capital, I've included it, but I believe the selectmen are going to do something different with the funding mechanism for the first item, which was the ambulance. I just want to point you to last year, the budget approved the remount, what we call. We take the box off the ambulance, put it on a new chassis of our oldest ambulance, which is a 2017 right now. That truck is slated to be remounted this fall. The truck that is requested here would be for the 2028 vehicle to stay in our 8-year cycle. If we order it in June, it's 30 to 36 months out. So that's why you're seeing the conversation brought up right now. The LifePak 15 cardiac monitor. Previous budget obtained one of those cardiac monitors for one of the ambulances. This one would complete that, so we have an updated cardiac monitor on the backup truck. And the last one is video laryngoscopes, which are used during intubation of critical patients, generally during cardiac arrest. Those are the big ticket items budgetary-wise. I'm happy to answer any questions about any of that before we jump into the budget.
Not at the moment.
Not yet.
Not yet. No.
You all set, Mike?
No, just a couple minutes.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm good.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready, right now. Chief, what was the total budget last year? Your total budget for everything you do?
The approved was 1765375.
Just do the first three numbers and how many thousands or whatever it is.
1,765,375.
That was last year?
Yes.
What's this year?
2068.
I gotta tell you guys, there's something that's happening that you don't know about. You just don't. And I'm catching just the pieces of it now. This is not gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a very bad year. I'll tell you, just the simple little things bring this up. You can laugh at me at the end, but don't forget that I told you this, okay? I went in to get I gotta get my taxes done, just like most of us. Some of us are done, some of us are not. So I do it the old-fashioned way. I do it with paper, which is how we do stuff, and I kinda like that too. We'll all be online at some point, but not this year. So I went down, and back in the day, you could go into South Portland, and they'd have, 8 or 10 people helping you get your own forms so you could do your own taxes. Anybody know what happens today? There's no place to go. There is a place in South Portland. They don't even tell you where it is. It's hard to find. When I go in, how many people are there to help you? Anybody want to take a guess? No one. They have a guard. They have one person, a guard. And I sit there, I don't even have a chair to sit in. But all the forms are there, so I took my time and got it all done. I'm telling you guys, what's gonna happen is this is gonna be a very bad year, followed by another very bad year. So we have to tighten our belt before we get caught. That's the only thing we can do as a town. You can laugh at me about this, or you can say I'm effing nuts, but it's gonna happen. Anybody know what the stock market was today? No. Neither do I. I'll make you bet it fell some more. We are going into hard times. I'm not kidding. So my thought is, especially in this situation, Chief, I wish you could find a way to pare it down a little bit, somewhere, somehow. This is gonna happen, it's gonna hurt everybody in Buxton, what's going on at the highest governmental levels. It's horrible. And you guys didn't like to believe me when I told you about COVID, and I told you week after week after week and gave you the numbers, and you guys hated me for it. And then it happened. And then we got the program that came in. You guys weren't interested at first. It was a wonderful opportunity, a 2-year deal, and we were able to do a lot with it. Remember that? There's gonna be none of that this time. None of it. We're heading in a bad direction. It's gonna hit. And you heard it from me first.
I think we all got the gist of what you're trying to tell us, Fitz.
That's okay, so I still got the mic, all right? Until someone says,
No.
get the hell out of here.
Point of order here.
Yeah, point of order does it.
I'm doing a point of order because we're talking about the chief's budget. We're not talking about opinions of what's going on. So if you want to talk specifically about the budget in front of you, that's fine. But when we start talking about, the
thank you
economy
very
and everything
much.
else, let's focus on the budget.
All right, you guys.
Mike?
Yeah. Just a couple questions here. You've got budgeted 65,000 for the truck. Where did you get that, where did that price come from? That seems low to me, especially if it's gonna have to be equipped.
Yeah, so we went, actually, if we get to capital at the end, it's all there. I've included also, if you go to the back of that book, the quote's there. That's a state of New Hampshire quote for a truck that I believe is 49, without looking at it right here in front of me. Only because you caught me out of cycle. Hold on, let me put my finger.
Yeah, it is 49.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, right there. All right, so they're asking, so is that the price that we're gonna be paying?
That's the price that they have right now that is good for right now.
Good for right
So
now.
there's gonna be radios and lettering and lighting and all that kind of stuff that goes in it. That's the balance of that cost.
Okay, so that additional 15,000 is gonna cover the light, lettering, radios, everything else?
Yes.
And is this truck going to be assigned to one person?
No, this is going to replace the existing service truck. I'm trying to put my hands on because I don't know if I put it right with you. The cost to outfit.
Is that used truck gonna be turned in towards the new one?
No, actually, so we lost one vehicle just a little while ago. It's gonna get bumped down. The service truck, the plan as directed by the selectmen is to bump it down to the assistant chief, and then that's where that's gonna go. The current F-150, the 2016 F-150.
That's
Mike,
for-
sorry, I don't have,
Okay.
my quote from, the upfit, but it's roughly 10,000 for the upfit.
All right.
I don't know why I didn't include it, I apologize about
No.
that.
On the Life Pack 15 cardiac monitor, you're buying one. Why is it says here, purchased in 2025? Is it already been purchased or we're going to purchase it this year? On
Say that
page-
again?
On page 18, the Life Pack.
Yeah, so we purchased one in this budget. We have
Current
two,
year.
so we need one more. Because the life pack that we have now, the second one, is at end of life.
Okay.
So we purchased one last year, one this year, so that we wouldn't have 100 and whatever, but I'm not even at that point in the budget yet. But yes, we are purchasing one so that we have an offset cost.
So the upcoming budget is going to include the second one, or is that going to be a third one?
No, so we bought one in the budget that we're sitting in right now,
Okay, the 23, 24.
24, 25.
Okay,
This one is gonna request one in July.
Okay.
And then we're done for 6 years.
okay.
Yes.
All right, good, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else, any questions, Selectman? No? Bill? No? Carry on.
Okay. I'll start right at the top. I have, first line is fire salaries. This line is showing up 17.62%. The biggest bump, honestly, is if we go down to 1, 2, 3, the fourth dark green box, where it says fire incident payroll, is the matrix that we've used per se for the last 10 or 12 years. Our call volume on the fire side has increased, so all of those calls increase, and the time per call increases, and that's realistically the biggest bump there. The numbers that you find under rate below that are all averaged numbers for fire trainings and fire meetings. Those are all the part-time folks that are in those three. The top three are my salary, the assistant chief's salary, and the executive assistant's salary. That's what we have. And the the call salary, which again is the biggest bump there. That went up, the base went up as directed by the board.
Any questions on the salaries?
Yeah, I got a quick question. On the fire incident payroll, the assistant chief is on there, but he also draws a salary. I guess I'm just kind of confused.
He is not salary.
Oh, he's not, okay.
He's paid hourly.
Got you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So in this budget, are you the only one that's salary?
Yes.
Okay. So out of this budget, this 416,000, is there overtime built into that?
So realistically, the only overtime that's going to come is going to be from the assistant chief, because Joanne works a set schedule.
Okay.
And any time that he has over is budgeted in that fire incident payroll.
Okay, so the rest of the employees are held to, full-timers to 40 hours?
There's no other full-timers in this budget.
Okay.
The majority of the full-timers are in the rescue budget.
Okay. So what is the set hours for the part-timers? Or is there?
There is not.
There is not.
That's why this is such a moving target.
Okay.
And why we set it based on hours per call and number of calls is because I wish we could schedule our calls. We might have better turnouts at times. But we can't forecast that exactly.
What's the average number of hours a part-timer is working?
I don't have that right in front of me. But I would say the group here, these groups, with the exception of the top three, the firefighters do not work shifts. This is your volunteer group that's coming from home.
The fire incident?
Yes, fire incident, fire training, payroll, fire meeting. Those are all volunteers going to calls, meetings, trainings. These are not any of the full-time staff generally that are coming out of this budget.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Set?
Yep.
All set.
Nick?
All set.
Tyler? Betsy? Carry on?
The next line is occupancy. That's up 5.2, just based on trends of where we stand right now. So this covers heating, fuel, electricity, telephone, alarm monitoring, spectrum. And those were all bumped up based on where we are currently.
All set?
Yep.
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 Selectmen?
Office supplies, that's flat funded. That covers anything that we need from toner cartridges to paper to any of that stuff.
Yep.
Next line is fuel and oil. This is just for the fire vehicles, not the ambulances, just for the fire vehicles. It's flat because we're trending in the appropriate direction.
All set?
Yep.
Yep.
Vehicle maintenance. Vehicle maintenance is increased by 12% based on where we are right now in the budget. As the date we ran, we were over 50%, so we wanted to make sure that we could still hold the line on where we are. You'll probably hear it if you haven't from the Public Works Department or anybody else. On the new trucks, the electronics are killing us, and on the old trucks, it's not the electronics that are killing us, but vehicles can nickel and dime. So this is any of the fire vehicles that we have.
All set?
Yep.
Carry on?
New equipment, this is new fire equipment. This line is just a little bit shy of where it was last year. This is to keep up with some of our replacement plans. In here is ventilation fan, we call it a PPV, a positive pressure ventilation fan. Two thermal imaging cameras. Nozzle replacements for our fire hose. Cold water rescue suits and some more low-angle rescue packs for any of our low-angle rescue stuff along the river or anywhere else. And the last part of that is one tower. I read that today and I'm like, yeah, it's not a tower, it's a computer tower. So the brains of the computer and then a desk. That is the request for new equipment.
Any questions? Nope. Seeing none, carry on.
Equipment repair, it's up roughly 9%, and it's just because of where we're trending. We're going from $5,500 to $6,000.
Any questions? Seeing none, carry on.
Dues and memberships, this covers Maine State Federation of Firefighters, Fire Chiefs Associations, and it's flat funded.
Any questions on that one?
No.
Carry on.
Fire training sees a fairly hefty increase. It covers $5,000 for initial firefighter training, covers costs to send 2 of our employees to become ice and water rescue instructors so they can come and teach the class here in Buxton, which saves us money inevitably. We do have some money in there for outside or for ice and water rescue certification classes, fire officer, fire instructor classes, and then any cost for the National Fire Academy or IFC classes, conferences. We did reduce that down after a meeting with the selectmen. I don't have, that might have looked something like 19,000 before we reduced. We're not getting we're not getting certified people, so we have to train them. In order to train them, we need the funds to train them, whether that's send them somewhere or certify our own fire instructors to teach the class in-house. So that's why you see such a large increase there.
The ice and water instructors, we don't currently have anybody on site, on staff that does that now?
No.
So, up until this year, so past years, we've always sent them out to schooling?
Yes.
And do you know what the cost of that schooling is?
The certification class for an instructor is roughly $2,500 a piece, and I believe the class for the student is roughly $2,000 a piece.
Are the instructors going to be employees of the fire department?
Yes.
So you're gonna have 2 new employees at salaries. Do you know what their salaries are gonna be?
No,
No. What I'm getting at, I think the cost to bring in 2 new people with benefits, everything else, is surely gonna be more than the 5,000 that it's gonna cost to have, send 2 people off to schooling.
Yeah, I'm not bringing anybody new in, though. It's current people, we're just sending them to get that certification so that they can teach it here. There are current people that we're gonna send to go do that, and they're getting paid to train anyway. So it's not new people, it's our people now who are vested here, who are fire instructors here already, but need to go get that certification before they can teach a certification class here for our folks.
Okay, all right.
Any further questions?
No.
Seeing none, carry on.
Miscellaneous is flat funded. That covers anything essentially that isn't budgeted.
Any questions?
No.
Seeing none, carry on.
Communication purchase is again flat funded this year. I will just say, if you go back to the printed documentation, we won a grant, a regional grant that was hosted by Buxton back, I think 2018 timeframe, to the tune of, I believe, $585,000, which replaced all of our mobile radios, which are the mounted in the truck, and all portable radios in the department. We're coming up on replacement for at least some of those portable radios, so that is going to be a conversation for the future.
How far out is that going to be? 2 years, 3 years?
Realistically, it was in the budget this year. I mean, frankly, it was in the budget this year as a conversation point. What we're running into is the backbone of our system, which they spent, I believe, taxpayer money and ARPA money on, is up and running. We run VHF radios. Our partners around us, mutual aid, are going to different radio systems, and we're finding that we're having some technology issues with being able to talk with them on their frequencies. And even to the point, 800, which is a trunked radio system, not to go all tech stuff, is just right next door. So we're not going to be able to talk to people. So we're going to have that conversation about which direction we're going to go with portable radios. So it's a conversation that could come up as soon as next year, but the big issue is we don't want to find ourselves on an island. And then you might find requests for replacement next year just to keep some of the things that we have running. Because a portable radio is worn every day, people on the ambulance, on fire trucks, and they get beat up pretty well.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, carry on.
The next one is communication equipment maintenance. The maintenance here is for batteries, for antennas, for broken stuff that we have to send out to replace. I left this number in here. Last year, a battery for a single portable radio was $125 a piece. We have roughly 60 portable radios, so we replace as needed there. This also covers the cost of our fiber link that we share with the PD with the radio project.
Any questions? Seeing none, carry on.
Cleaning supplies is flat.
Any questions?
Nope.
Carry on.
Fire prevention is the next line, and that is increased by $500 because we added some things this past year, National Night Out. We've done some different things with open houses and purchasing items for all those to support it. So that went from $3,500 to $4,000. The request, anyway.
Any questions? Seeing none, carry on.
Next is building repair and maintenance. That's up 20%, which is $5,000. Probably every year we talk about when the buildings were put in, the things that we didn't expect them. I wasn't involved when they went in, but the folks who built the stations went in, that we didn't expect the staffing levels that we have. We didn't expect to be doing what we're doing with stations. Upkeep is higher. That's why you see that $5,000 increase. Where we're tracking right now is higher than that. I haven't checked today's actual versus budgeted. So that will keep us in the black hopefully next year.
Where do you think you're going to end this current fiscal year in the expenses of this line?
Currently, we were at, as of the end of January, we were at 28,000, which is way over. So we're already over on that line. I have no idea because right now we're just in a break fix. scenario with that line. Something breaks, we have to fix it. It's important, then we're fixing it. If not, it's waiting until July.
Okay.
Any further questions? Seeing none, carry on.
Personal protective gear, this is the gear that the firefighters wear. This is just a little bit down, round numbers, it's 55,000, down from 55,774. On the left-hand side, the estimated cost for all the things that a firefighter needs is roughly $7,000. Not that we have to replace all those every single year for every firefighter. Last year, the number was 55, and that essentially was built so that we can have a standard base for each year of purchasing of PPE, so that we don't have one year that spikes and one year that dips, so that the budget can be stable, and accepting that. Our standard, which is based in the NFPA standard, says, says 10 years, and that means that and we don't even throw out gear at 10 years, we just allow juniors to, we allow juniors to use the gear because they're exterior folks. They don't go inside a burning building generally, in uncontrolled scenarios. The gear still has to pass inspection per state labor standards, which all of our gear does. If it doesn't pass inspection, then it's thrown in the dumpster, because we don't want to risk anybody with gear that does not pass inspection.
Any questions on the gear?
Nope.
Seeing none, carry on.
Maintenance agreements is the last one in the fire budget that we have. That line is up 12.6%. I just want to point out a couple things. One of the bigger lines is under air testing. It's about, I don't know, a quarter of the way down the list. That is an item that only comes up every 5 years. And that is essentially all of our bottles. We have roughly 90 SCBA cylinders that clip into the air packs that firefighters wear. Every 5 years, it's required that they have a hydro test. They fill it with water, and then they pressurize it, make sure it holds water, it doesn't fail. That's a big bump in this budget. We also can come down to ladder testing, which is going to increase a little bit, not a huge number. And our Burgess number, which is our IT managed service, has gone up slightly. And that gets us to the 12.6% increase, the large ones anyway.
All set?
Yep.
Carry on.
What do you have next in front of you, Sheridan?
I believe rescue.
Okay. So the rescue, the first sheet in the rescue is rescue salaries. Rescue salaries, the line from this year, from last year to this year is up 19.5%. The majority of that, well, let's not get into the majority of it yet. The top block here, career staffing, that's all the full-time folks. We have 8 full-time union positions. Then you go down to the next box, which is fire rescue non-union positions, which are our per diem folks, so those who work for us on their days off from their full-time job. And then paid on-call folks, those are our volunteer folks, volunteer student live-ins. And then there's a block for premium/overtime hours down below. And then there is their service medical director, which is a stipended position. The largest bump in this, without looking at anything else, is that top block. The union just settled a contract with the board. The board and the union agreed on a contract after, I don't know, I think we started somewhere back in November, after there was salary studies and we found where our wages are. The board looked at wages, we looked at wages, or I'm sorry, the board looked at wages, the union looked at wages, And that is a very large bump in this line, the largest bump, single bump in this line, which is that top block. The second block, the hourly rates are adjusted. Essentially, we look at all our per diems, we take an average of our per diems. I believe the way my cell is figured is I throw out the top number, throw out the bottom number, and come up with the average for paramedics, for firefighters there. The hours have not changed. We're asking the non-union folks to cover the same amount of hours. Paid on call EMS, those are the same figures. I got to the hourly rate in a similar way. And as back in the fire budget, the non-union folks got the directed percent raise, or the selectman directed wage increase in this budget.
Chief, in the top block, there's 2 questions. How many of those positions are currently open?
So currently 7 are full. I've offered the 8th position, and we're just waiting on the background check and medical clearance process. So my hope is next Tuesday, all 8 will be full.
Okay, my next question is, what % of increase is in that top block?
Ooh, I didn't do that number. I can get that. I didn't do that number. But actually, hold on. If somebody can do quick math. The top block last year, make sure I got all 8 there. I got all 8 there. So top block last year was 440, 578, 32. And this year it's 591, 099, 60.
Yeah, 20%.
What's the projection for increase next year?
So the contract was signed, the first year is the biggest year. The next 2 are 4% and 4%.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions on salary?
No.
Good.
Carry on.
The next one I have is fuel and oil. On this line is gas and oil. It's up 7.3% merely because we're tracking a little bit high. So we're going from that 16,775 to 18 to ensure that we cover that cost, not knowing that that market may be volatile.
Any questions?
I have a quick question. So earlier in your presentation, you mentioned that new initiative you've been doing about trying to keep trucks off the roads. Is that helping? Have you noticed yet?
So I'll be careful with my words. Sometimes no matter what you do, it's still going to end in an emergency response call. We have a fair amount of places that are high uptake in EMS, or not EMS calls, fire calls, EMS calls. Generally, where 72% of our calls are EMS, we see more in EMS calls. We deal with a lot of folks in this community. I didn't look at the demographic before I came here, but we have a lot of people in this community that live alone, that are elderly, that their family aren't around, and sometimes we're the only people that they'll see in the course of a week. Legitimately, we have, I'm not going to name the road, I'm not going to name any places, but we have a road that when somebody sees an ambulance go by, they're going to call an ambulance within an hour after that. So we try very hard to put a pickup truck on the road. Marissa goes out or the crew goes out to handle those things in a non-emergent way. One of the initiatives that she's brought in her position to to the boots on the ground is we have two, in the ambulances specifically, we have two little toolboxes that have things like 9-volt batteries and AA batteries to replace in smoke detectors. We have carpet tape in those kits because one of the issues with the elderly population is they slip, trip, and fall, and we will tape carpet down so that they don't slip, trip, and fall. So we're trying to prevent that next emergency from happening. Not to geek out on data, but like somebody over the age of 70, 75 who falls and breaks a hip, their mortality rate is exponentially higher than somebody who doesn't. And it's not even just from the injury, it's from failure to thrive because of all of the things that happen. So we're trying. I don't have any very specific data. I mean, I could go down on the slip, trips, and falls thing. Like one of the things that have taken off this year is the sand bucket program, which is there's folks in this town who can't make it down to the sand shed, and we'll go fill up a bucket of sand for them and bring them to them if they're elderly and they have no other way to do it, because if they have sand on the driveway and they don't slip on the ice, then that's one less call and that's one less injury. We're trying to do those little things. I only have anecdotal stories at this point.
Gotcha. Just curious.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, carry on.
Vehicle maintenance is flat. I would just, it's flat. We don't need to go too far back. We're in gas vehicles now. Our diesel vehicles cost us a whole heck of a lot more, especially in ambulances. The gas vehicles are doing very well for us. We have one that will be remounted this fall, which parts of that will be under warranty, which is generally what we run into, the issues of the drivetrain part, so that will be covered. We will have a truck that's going to backline what we call the second ambulance out, which will have roughly 95,000 miles on it until that's replaced in the 2028 timeframe, whenever that is. So that number holds. That's why you don't see it exponentially, Roger.
Any further questions? Seeing none, carry on.
The next is EMS equipment, rescue equipment. It's down 77%.
Are you good?
These are going to replace the two 4-gas meters that we need replaced and the 2 carbon monoxide detectors that we have. The reason why you see that down is because these are what we need this year, and you have the capital request of that we can get into in a little bit. That's where we are right now for rescue new equipment requests.
Any questions?
Nope.
Seeing none, carry on.
Cell phones is the next, and these are for our iPads so we can connect to dispatch. These are for the cell phones that we do have in the field. It's an 8.33% increase just based on where we are today, which equates to about $500.
Questions on cell phone?
No.
Seeing none, carry on.
The next is rescue training. It's 119% over where it was last year. The biggest increase in this is we had a current full-time officer, lieutenant, request assistance in covering the cost of paramedic school. This is an individual who started here as a student live-in, has stayed with us full-time, never worked for any other fire department, even part-time. And when we went to the board, this is something that we've done in the past for other members in good standing who are committed to this town and not jumping ship somewhere else. One of the conversations that we had with the board is that there is an educational contract requirement here, that if we do support this and if this does pass, then there's a financial requirement if they leave within a certain amount of years to pay the town back.
The individual pays it back?
Yes, yes. Yes, sorry, Sharon, it's not like the police department's agreement, where the department pays it back. I wish that some group would set that rule in the legislature, but nobody's willing to bite about the paramedic course cost, so.
And what do you expect the number of years the individual needs to stay before it wipes clean?
I believe what we have drafted right now, it's 5 years they have to stay. And there's really no question in my mind about this individual staying.
Okay.
Any further questions?
No.
Seeing none, carry on.
Next one is uniforms, and that's flat. And uniforms, although it lives in rescue, is both for fire and rescue folks.
Any questions on uniforms? Seeing none, carry on.
This line is, the next line is rescue maintenance agreements. It's up 11.9%. That's an increase in cost in battery replacement for all the battery-related things that we have, miscellaneous repairs, and then I don't know that we have the image trend, which is our report writing program's gone up a hair, and so has the CLIA waiver, which we need for the medication side.
Any questions?
No.
Nope.
Carry on.
The next is medical supplies. This number's up 20% merely because we're going to more medical calls, and we need to ensure that we have the equipment. This is a à la carte, so to speak, the things that we might buy out of here, and there's a whole heck of a lot of more things that we buy out of this line. This is our disposable, consumable things in the back of an ambulance that we use during patient care.
Where are you buying all your supplies? Are you buying from a medical supply?
Yeah, so we use a company called Savic for a lot because we're in a group purchasing agreement. Last time I checked, it was somewhere around 30% savings in that group purchasing. There are some things that we have to buy from a company called Boundtree, but generally we're doing Savic and I say Savic, it's Henry Schein is the company that we generally get probably 75% or more of our stuff from.
Any further questions?
No.
Seeing none, carry on.
The next is oxygen. That's up 11% based on use. That goes from 4,500 to 5,000. And we don't own any of it. We lease the cylinders, and they fill the air. We don't have fill stations. It's all medical grade. We don't do any of that because we don't do any of it. When we need bottles changed, they come and change them, give us full ones. It's like what the propane exchange system, same exact thing. So that's where that derives from.
Any questions on that? No. Seeing none, carry on.
Paramedic Intercept is the last in this line. It's a flat funded, and just as a reminder, Paramedic Intercept is when Buxton doesn't have a paramedic on duty or doesn't have a paramedic available, and we need paramedic level care, so we have to request a paramedic from another community. Generally, the bill is about $300, and they send us a bill directly. It cannot be passed off to the patient.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll carry on.
Sheridan, you should have fire police salaries. Is that what you got?
Yep.
Okay. This is up just based on the hourly increase and the assumption of hours that we have responding to calls. Generally, these folks are going to fire-related calls. Our fire-related calls are up, and that's how we come up with that. Same process we've used as in the past. And we're talking about what, $1,500, I believe, is the increase in this line. And this line today is trending high.
Excuse me? Any questions?
No.
Seeing none, carry on.
Fire police supplies is flat funded.
Any questions? Any, Dave?
No.
I'm good.
You be good? We'll carry on.
Fire police new equipment is 0.
Any questions on fire police?
No.
Seeing none? Guess we'll carry on to capital.
Do you go to capital next or hydrants next?
Oh, hydrant.
Hydrants, okay. I always,
Thanks for correcting me.
no, I always have that out of order.
Had it right in front of me and I didn't look.
Okay, no, that's fine. You're the boss, not me. Dry hydrants, it's flat funded at 20,000. This number, essentially allows Jeremy, who does a majority of the work on these, to buy PVC pipe, to buy fittings, to buy any of that kind of stuff, to keep our dry hydrants moving and our water supply system moving.
How much of the dry hydrant system in town, what percent has been upgraded or repaired, whatever you're doing with them?
I don't have the work orders right in front of me. Essentially, it's a break fix line. So we test our dry hydrants twice per year at least. So if we find a deficiency, he'll go out, take a crew out, they'll try to figure out what the issue is. And if they can't find it, then they'll just, essentially the way that goes is they'll replace the whole head, and it's break fix from there on. Yeah. We've used this line to install a couple of, I don't want to call them trial, but we have a couple of spots in town. The river is one of them, up off of Boom Road, where we've actually put a hydrant that's above ground that has a swivel, because if there's ice in the river, it'll completely clean the end of that hydrant off. That happens a lot by Salmon Falls. So when they use it, they just have to flip the swivel down to put the pipe into the water. We've used that money to install some of those types of hydrants. There's another one on Henry Hill Road that's in the brook. Different style hydrant. We're trying our best to increase the availability of this stuff, but realistically, we're using this to fix what we need and then install new hydrants.
How many do we have in town right now?
50-ish hydrants, yep. And I would say that any of our ponds are not, we should not be thinking that ponds are sustainable for the future either. They're filling in just as fast as you can clean them out, and that's going to be an issue in the long run when it comes to fire suppression issues. Now you going to Capital, Sheridan?
Yeah,
What do you have first? This
Truck.
the truck. So that truck, again, that truck, I believe I included the quote there. It's essentially off the New Hampshire state bid. The truck costs roughly 50. The 15 is for the upfit, which would be lights and lettering and radio, which is not just over 9. I don't know why I don't have a copy of it. And then lettering and radios will take out the rest of the 5. This one would be the truck that generally is pulling. We have a large ATV trailer that has a lot of forestry equipment on it. We're seeing, one of the statistics that I didn't have time to put together today is we're seeing a lot more wildland fires. And that trailer is going to be vital. The tools on the ground, boots on the ground, towing that with an F-150 is not a good thing at all. Braking alone is not a good thing. And with this vehicle, we would also put other equipment in the vehicle for wildland-specific stuff. This vehicle would be over at Bar Mill Station. That F-150 bumps down to the assistant chief. And that's sort of where we go. The fire police van, I didn't hit on it when we were there. Fire police van is now out of service. We're not using it. It's on to, I think, its third or fourth life. But we're not using it any longer. We had some mechanical issues with it. So that's where we stand with the vehicle request. I'm happy to answer any questions about this. But Mike, to your point, this is not assigned to a specific person. This is at the building. We would also use this to keep miles off of some of our larger vehicles. Wear and tear on our larger vehicles, especially this time of year, is rough. Yeah.
Knowing that we have to go through a process in town of approvals and then have the town vote on it, that cost of the truck, how long are they gonna hold the quote?
I asked the individual, Deb, to give me a quote that would hold until July 1st.
Okay.
So, and now that I'm actually looking at this, this is for the 3,500, not the 2,500. My apologies there, the 2,500 was about 47,000. So we'd have a little bit of wiggle room to make sure that if the cost of the trucks went up, we'd be able to cover it.
So you're looking for 2,500?
Yeah, 3/4 ton, yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
No.
Ain't none, thank you. Got one more, rescue? Capital project?
Yes, so I'm going to speak to two, and then maybe I'll let the board explain how they want to move forward with the third. But the LifePak cardiac monitor, we briefly discussed before. I believe that first LifePak 15 monitor that we bought, which was the one that we replaced this past year, was actually bought with association funds, or at least 50/50 association funds, back when Bar Mills Rescue still had money left. That was replaced last year. These monitors have 7 to 8 year lifespan. The problem when you get beyond 7 or 8 years of lifespan is any work that's done, they're not going to guarantee the work is going to be what it needs to be. Cardiac monitors are not just an AED. Cardiac monitors are they're highly technological. They can do lots of things. It is not just a shock. These things are pacing people's hearts. They're identifying rhythms. They're taking oxygen readings. They're doing lots of different things that even 25 years ago when I started, they weren't even thinking about doing at the time. The cost of that, I believe it actually holds to the cost that we had for this past year, which was the $59,000. That number also, we were asked to have that hold for July 1st purchase. And that would include the monitor, carrying case, cables, anything that we'd need, chargers or anything like that. There's no training necessary because we have the monitor now. The only changes is to firmware inside the monitor. These monitors are upgradable if the medical protocol changes. They can be programmed to follow the medical protocol most up to date. Questions about the cardiac monitor?
Yeah. Any questions on the cardiac? Yeah, monitors?
Nope.
No.
Seeing none, I guess we have reached the end of your presentation.
No. Nope, you got two more.
Oh, we have?
Yeah, so there's the video laryngoscopes, which are used during intubation.
See that here,
That's underneath the line there. It says CMAC video laryngoscope. These replace our current laryngoscopes, which are failing. A laryngoscope is what a paramedic would use to intubate you if you were unconscious, unresponsive, not breathing, and in the middle of a cardiac arrest. This allows them to see the airway and place a tube in the patient's airway to breathe for the patient. In the middle of a cardiac arrest, from our perspective, there's a lot of moving parts, and the better opportunities we can provide the paramedic to intubate the patient on the first try, the better the outcome is going to be. And the unfortunate part is we bought ours during COVID, and ours are already failing. These ones are tested, used in the hospital, and they will be a very good piece of equipment for our paramedics.
Any questions?
No, I just want to say something. Looking at the budget, I mean, there were items that went way up, there were some items that were flat, some items went down. But compared to last year, you're at about a little over $300,000 difference between last year and this year's budget, and that's not counting the capital. So the capital's at $155,000. I don't even know if it's possible, but I would like to see the budget relooked at and try to make some cuts to cover the cost of the capital items. I just think if it's 300,000 and then that's another 155, so that's $450,000 additional we're asking the town to cover or pay the taxes. So if there is a way to bring that number down to cover, and I don't know if that's you or if that's them or together, I just would like to hope that we could maybe take a look at it one more time. And I'm not saying, looking at the budget, I'm not saying, oh, you can cut this, you can cut that, you can cut that. I'm just saying, just take a look at it.
Can I make a comment to that, Nate, if you're all right? with it? Yeah. No? So I think, I understand your point, Mike, and to Richard's comment a while ago, there's no doubt that, we've been cruising for a lot of years. At some point, there's going to be a correction, right? The last correction we've had was 88, then 2008, so you could project potentially every 20 years, so 2028, so we're getting close. Having said that, one thing that's important here, the biggest raise in this is through wages, right? And a lot of those, when we did a wage analysis, we did a wage analysis with all communities.
Yeah.
And although we may not be a Saco, we may not be a Gorm, the scope and the size, our employees can go work there just as easily as working for the town of Buxton, right?
Yeah.
So we have to pay something equitable in order to get people to come to work for the town of Buxton.
Yeah.
Now, we can say, you know what, I never used the ambulance, I never used the fire, you know what I mean? Well, I've never had kids in school, so why am I paying for the school? And I'm never in trouble, why should I pay for the police and all that? At the end of the day, when somebody calls for an ambulance, they want an ambulance to show up, right? And our goal is to provide staffing in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
And so, if you look at his budget, a big portion of that is wages, right? And that is set in stone now with the union negotiations, so there's no turning back the clock on that.
Yeah.
The other items, you guys are, as equally as capable of looking at it and seeing where you want to cut. We feel that he's come in with a reasonable budgetary items. He's trying to achieve some tasks with the education piece, bring a paramedic on staff. That's important. Train some of our employees to train other employees. I think that's important. And then when we start looking at capital items, again, the truck, at some point, we're gonna have to replace it. This is the year that we're gonna do that, and the cardiac monitors, and the other items he's asking for. So, if you wanna look through and say, hey, you know what, we don't think it needs that, or it doesn't need this, that's fine. I think the board has done the best job that we can to say, you know what, we feel that this is something that's equitable for this coming year, for the fire department. And we don't just look at the fire department, right? We look at it as a whole. Police, we got trash. But I do want to say one more thing on this particular item. It's not in this budget, we're just talking to Bill about it, and you guys should have a copy, and that is the ambulance, right? We are asking the town to basically allow us to order an ambulance. It's not in your budget here, and I want Bill to get you guys a copy so you know that we're going to have that language in the warrant. We're not buying it this year, and that's why it's not in here, because we're not really allocating the money this year. But technically, we kind of are if we're asking the public to allocate 380, Nate? Is that what you're, 480?
450.
Okay, whatever that number is, in order to order an ambulance that will be projected to be returned or given to us in 3 years. And at that point, it will be paid for undesignated surplus, but we're just not raising the tax dollars this year because we're not paying for it this year. But you guys should have that in your folders here, saying that we're looking for language to be able to do that because of the fact that it's going to take 3 years for us to get it. So, having said all that, right, it is a tough year. But I think that this board, if we've been really not only looking at raising revenues with raising taxes, right? We moved our resources from one bank where we got 1%, we put it in another bank, we got 4.5%, right? That gave us 350, 400,000 more every year because of what we have in there as when we collect taxes. And we've raised, we've had some really nice developments come to town, which have given us some more revenue, and then revenue sharing has gone up, which has given us some more revenue, and we were paying $500,000 a year on debt, and we paid things off, and now we're down to less than 200. And so, we're raising revenues in that aspect of it to offset the increases that we keep getting. But at the end of the day, we're not immune to the inflation. You know what I mean? We can't stop inflation. It's happening. The town of Buxton is being affected by inflation as well. And we're trying to create that balance. We know we have people on fixed incomes in this community. We don't want to tax them out of their homes. We understand that. But at the end of the day, when they call for an ambulance, we want an ambulance to show up at their house. And how do we balance that between revenues and everything else? So it is challenging to be doing what we're doing, but we're doing the best that we can. I think Nate's doing the best that he can as well, and that's kind of where we're at.
Can I just add one more thing? I don't want you to think because I said that I didn't think you were doing the best you could to get this budget down. It's just, time. It's, I don't know. It's just,
People are worried at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're hearing it all the time from residents. So it's like he said, it has nothing against you. We think you're doing a great job, but people are scared.
Yeah. And I love it when I go like to Hannaford and somebody will say something about the budget, and the first thing I ask them is, do you go to the meetings? No. Well then, it's like if you don't vote, you can't bitch about it, don't vote.
Yeah, and I think Nate's doing a wonderful job
Yeah.
here. You look at these capital items, the laryngoscope, the cardiac monitors, all of these things are not toys by any means. These are life-saving devices. The training, everything where there is increases, everything is for the benefit of our residents. And like Chief said, we do have an aging population in our town, which statistically is going to increase rescue calls, especially. All that training, all that equipment is going to be, again, it does add to costs and add to taxes, but it directly benefits everything. And I've looked through this, and there's everything, as you look back through, can be justified as being, 100% passes the straight face test on everything. So, very happy how we came out with
And I
everything.
think in years past, I think we've all worked well together to come out with a budget that, we all think is good.
Come to meeting.
We got people who are gonna say no, but that's gonna happen no matter what, so.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's always a challenge too, the police department, let's look at like Public Works. The wintertime, it's snowing, you see the trucks out all the time. The police, you see them on the corners, you're hitting your brakes because you're going too fast, all of that. And you see them. The fire department, you don't necessarily always see their equipment out on the roads every day, but I can firsthand tell you, when you need it, you need it. And you need well-trained people and the good equipment to be able to make this work, so.
So I live around the corner on 112, on the river road, and I have 2 dogs. And I certainly know when the ambulance or the fire trucks are coming, because I don't
You're not
care what
sleeping through
time it
that.
is, of night or day, they're howling.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, same.
All right.
Yep, mine too. She can hear that plow coming. Here's that blade.
Chief, thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Good presentation. I guess I can call the meeting now. I missed that capital.
I'm not quite sure why they're here. Are you? Oh, it is. Okay, I thought you had another meeting. I'm sorry. Okay. Yep.
No,
Are you allowed to attend?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
oh, absolutely. We,
Big assembly?
yeah, no, we encourage it there, but it's so rare that, it's so rare when someone does, like,
yeah. Yeah.
I was fearful you were representing another organization
Chief.
that wasn't on the agenda tonight.
Left shoe.
Thank you for coming.
I saw that. Thank you.
That was one of the reasons why I made that announcement tonight, that this was an open meeting for the public if they wish to attend. I had a citizen ask me that. And as far as I know, it's always been that way, but nobody actually has ever opened the doors, I don't think. We would like to thank you for coming in.
Do you guys have any questions? Anybody? I would imagine it's a,
There's a lot of people here, it's kind of intimidating.
It's never like this.
We would like to talk to the selectmen about an issue, and so I don't know if this is a good time. We don't necessarily need, this is the budget committee?
yeah.
Thank you for your service. We don't really need the budget committee, and I don't think at this point, but,
Are we still live on a budget meeting right now?